I support.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader. Honorable members, the next opportunity goes to the Honorable Robert Mbui, member for Kaviani.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. I think, Madam Speaker, this idea of the Open University of Kenya is very timely. I think it's listening to what is happening and noting that Kenya has spent so much money on distant learning and e-learning from outside there. It's a shock that this was not done ages ago. But nevertheless, the importance of education cannot be gainsaid. It's really an important thing, and especially higher education, Madam Speaker. Now, Madam Speaker, if you look at the history of our education in this country, and now just talk about the time when I was at the university, things were very different from what is happening now. I remember at the university, we were actually paid by the government. We used to receive, about 5,040 shillings every semester. Madam Speaker, we were accommodated by the University Students Accommodation Board. All students were accommodated, we were fed, we actually benefited a lot, and the government was taking the issue of education very, very seriously. But Madam Speaker, if you look at the situation today, the current situation is that university students, their parents have to raise money to pay for them fees. The cost of living in the university hostels is too high. So what is happening is that a lot of them, you probably will be living in the nearby estates, and those are the places where they end up getting involved in drugs and alcohol abuse. Madam Speaker, you know that the cost of living is so high that even those students in the university, they hardly can afford food. And Madam Speaker, when I was at the university, the team for rugby in the University of Nairobi, the Mean Machine, was actually the champions of the country. Today, I doubt whether any one of those students can actually go and compete favorably outside there because they are malnourished, they don't get enough food because of the cost of living and because of the situation. So, Madam Speaker, what the government has done with this idea is that because of the changes that we have faced as a country and because of the changes that are happening all over the world, we have to adapt. And Madam Speaker, what are the changes that we have gone through that make us have to go to e-learning and distant learning? One, of course, is that a lot of money has been spent by Kenyans pursuing higher education. They can't afford to do it in our local universities because of the cost. So they've gone and spent a lot of money outside there. So when we do that for ourselves, then we will be saving money for the country. Two, Madam Speaker, there's many more people pursuing university education now than those years back then. So it is a way by which you can have more people accessing higher education. So it's really, really a brilliant idea. Of course, Madam Speaker, not to forget that in 2020, we were hit by a disease called COVID-19, which unfortunately forced us to shut down our learning institutions. Now with e-learning, with distant learning, with that concept, education can continue even when we have such life-threatening diseases. So, Madam Speaker, it's really, in my opinion, I think it's really a game changer. But, Madam Speaker, I have one major concern. Much as I support this, my concern is about integrity in the education sector in this country. Madam Speaker, every year we have exams, proper exams, national exams in primary school, in secondary school. And Madam Speaker, almost every year there are cases, rampant cases of exam cheating. And these are people that are frisked before they walk into the exam room. Those exam papers are kept in a store under lock and key in a police station. But still somehow, we still manage to have cases where people have stolen the exam. Some schools are benefiting from the stolen exams. So I'm asking myself, even as we support this, how sure are we that those students that will be online learning and doing exams are the ones that will be getting the certification, Madam Speaker? That is one thing we must figure out to sort out, because as a country, we really do have a problem of integrity. And we must make sure that as we do this noble idea, we introduce systems to make sure that those that are registered in those universities are the ones that will learn there and are the ones that will do the exam there. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I support.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Rindikiri Mugambi, member for Buri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I rise to support this noble proposal on the Open University. And just like other members have stated, I think this is the greatest opportunity that the majority of our kings have across the country. Madam Speaker, there are so many parents who are not able to take their student, their sons and daughters, to the universities because of costs relating to the tuition fees, relating to accommodation, and the other maintenance costs for our children. Madam Speaker, this comes handy because the people of Bori, the children of Bori will benefit. Those ones who did not have opportunity of having and their own families to take them to the university and afford the costs, this is the best option. I join to say that this is a very novel idea. It's going to create accessibility to majority of our children. It's going to ease the burden of expenses to our parents. It's given to give alternatives where there wouldn't have been any alternatives. The only issue, Madam Speaker, that I would like to note is some courses might not be offered by this Open University. I am worried about the science subject, very important subject that we are encouraging our kids to learn. For example, the technical programs requiring practicals, requiring guidance, requiring careful assessment. Madam Speaker, the other issue is the pricing. We really need to know what the cost of costing will be, because we can be excited of saying it is cheaper, but still we need to know the proper costing of the university. Madam Speaker, the issue of integrity has been alluded to by my senior Member of Parliament for Kadiani. I'm also worried because we know there are so many people in this country who have degrees but who never passed the minimum requirement. I don't know how those assessments for joining the Open University will be carried out and by who. It is very important, right from the beginning, we make sure that even if it is as accessible as much, we must put stringent measures to ensure those ones who will be pursuing the e-learning and the e-learning through to the Open University, they are people who have met the minimum requirements. Mr. Speaker, I also would like to hear from the proponent the timelines for their degrees. I think it is very important. Again, Madam Speaker, I think I recommend that all the universities, whether e-learning, open, or the existing, that we have internship programs, how they will be managing the internship programs for the students who will be learning through Open University. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, it is a good and noble idea. Now that the government is doing a lot of connectivity on the internet, the only disadvantage we could have is that let's not open this university, let's not give them the charter, because some areas of this country might be disadvantaged in terms of internet connectivity. Meaning we must have electricity in all the counties, in all the constituencies, in all the wards, if we have to create fairness for our students to learn from all corners of this country. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, this is a good, noble idea, and I support it. But they need to do the adjustment, because I need to know what they are doing specifically on the science subjects, for a technical subject which are not part of this program. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Member from Buri. The Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu, Member for Kitui Central.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to support this important motion on the issue of awarding a charter for the Open University of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, this issue is long overdue in this country, because open universities have actually been helpful to many countries, and more so the developed countries, Honorable Speaker. And as the mover did say, Honorable Speaker, one of the advantages of these open universities is the issue of access to education, where, Honorable Speaker, those parents who are not able to send their children out there to other countries will be able to access education just from their homes, so long as you have internet connection and you have a machine called a computer, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, what we'll do is that even as Kenyans benefit from this Open University, the region will also benefit, because I think we are becoming a trailblazer.
Dr. Makali Mulu,
Yes.
I'll take a minute. Honorable members, we have students seated at the public gallery from Kangaru Girls High School, Manyata constituency in Embu. I would like to welcome them to the National Assembly so that you may observe proceedings of the House. Thank you.
Yeah, so
Honorable
thank you
Makali
very
Mulu,
much, Honorable
sorry
Speaker.
about the disruption, and I would like to
it's
request you
good
to
that
proceed.
our daughters are in-house, because they are going to be beneficiaries of this Open University when it becomes operational, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, as I was saying, what will happen is, even as Kenyans benefit from this university, the region will also benefit, because our neighbors, Uganda, Tanzania, and the rest, will actually have not started these open universities, and they will be benefiting from this Kenyan Open University. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, which is important is, this Open University of Kenya will also be able to assist Kenyans in terms of accessing higher education. There will be a lot of facilitation, and what has happened in countries where this Open University is actually in place, Honorable Speaker, a lot of the countries are making a lot of money through payment of fees and also accommodation. Honorable Speaker, you'll appreciate that in some countries, many students who visit, Honorable Speaker, will be able to like Kenyans, a lot of Kenyans are enrolled in different courses in different universities. For example, the South African one, Honorable Speaker. So you find when they are in session, because at times students will be required to visit the universities for a short while, Honorable Speaker, during that time they will also seek for accommodation in those countries, and they'll be able to actually also make money for the countries. Likewise, Kenya will also be benefiting from the same. In a situation where the professor wants to have a one-to-one interaction with the student, and more so when they are doing their thesis and the other documentation, Honorable Speaker, you find that there are 1 week or 2 weeks in Kenya, and then they might go back to their countries. During that time, the country also makes money in terms of foreign exchange, Honorable Speaker. The other issue, Honorable Speaker, which is also critical, and I think it has been raised by my colleagues, is the issue of the infrastructure required to competently provide this service, Honorable Speaker. And you realize that, as usual, I see a number of regions of this country also being marginalized. For example, northeastern Kenya, where these issues of internet connectivity, Honorable Speaker, and infrastructure laying has not taken place. Far-flung countries, like regions like Lamu, Honorable Speaker, also yesterday we had the Mheshimiwa from Lamu also complaining about marginalization in Lamu East and other areas. So even as we award this charter, Honorable Speaker, I think it will be important for this House to make sure that then the required infrastructure, Honorable Speaker, is provided. Another advantage, Honorable Speaker, is a situation where with an open university, you can also tap from the best professors in the world, where you can actually consult such professors and ask them to educate our students from different parts of the world. So you get the best in terms of resource persons, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, to me, I think it is important as a House, we support this, but the issue of integrity of our education, the issue of Kenyans and education system, Honorable Speaker, because, you know, Honorable Speaker, this idea of Kenyans getting fake certificates is very common. And what is very, very surprising is they are able to get these certificates from the O-level, university bachelor, university master, and I think there has even been attempts to get PhDs through the same system. So, Honorable Speaker, I think we really need to look at the credibility of our education system so that we make sure that those students who get these certificates, they have actually earned the certificates. It's not a situation where they go shortcuts and they get the certificates. And I'm more worried about a situation where you might find other Kenyans who are educated assisting their either children or relatives to get these certificates, because now there might be no issue of physical presence where you confirm this and so and so. So this is another area we really need to guard. And these are issues of values, Honorable Speaker. So as a country, we need to invest a lot in our values so that at the end of the day, our students get certificates which they have genuinely earned through the education system. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to support this and congratulate the committee for a job well done, and request honorable members that we support this move. It is a good move for the country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very much, Dr. Makali. The Honorable Omboko Milemba, member for Emuhaya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. A good idea with a few threats which can be really mitigated. An open University of Kenya certainly will provide better opportunities for the students. One, an open university will create a lot of flexibility in time and place of learning. An open university will also use modern technology, which is everywhere now, Honorable Speaker. It will also ease pressure on the physical facilities within the university and the high learning institutions. For instance, when we have university intake, we base our intake on the availability of spaces in the universities, which will not be the case. So with an open university, we shall get away from facilities and spaces within the university determining how many students go to university. Furthermore, it removes the idea of reducing the cost of education, because
I want to thank the members for the support, the committee members who have gone through these report and presented this report, the cracks of the committee, and more so, I want to stress the point that this report needs to be implemented. Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Having confirmed order. Having confirmed that we have the requisite numbers, I now put the question that this House adopts the report of the Committee of Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the draft charter for the Open University of Kenya laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 29th June 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 24(1) of the Universities Act 2012, approves the award of a charter for the Open University of Kenya. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, approval of the Defense Cooperation Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the Republic of Seychelles. Resumption of debate.
Did we have any member who was on the floor? There was no one on the floor, and therefore we shall proceed with those who have keyed in. And the next to speak on this is Honorable Paul Biego, Chesumei. Paul Biego, Honorable Member for Chesumei.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, what I had wanted to speak about was education, so I beg to give to the next.
Very well. The Honorable John Kiragu, Honorable Member for Limuru. Not being in the House. The Honorable John Mutunga, Tigania West.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, this motion was there last week and we tried to speak to it, but the time was lapsed before. Honourable Speaker.
Order, Honourable Mutunga. May I bring the members to speed that we are now on a motion of approval of Defence Cooperation Agreement between the Kenyan government, the government of Kenya. Let me take it again. Approval of a Defence Cooperation Agreement between the government of the Republic of Kenya and the government of the Republic of Seychelles. You may proceed.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, this collaboration is important to both the republics, the Seychelles Republic and the Republic of Kenya, because training together for such a force is important. Honourable Speaker, it will help them to share experiences, it will help them to develop the skills better than when they are doing it on their own. On the other hand, Honourable Speaker, when it comes to issues of discipline, we are witnessing in this country that there are many other countries from all over the world who would like to train in Kenya. We have European Union, some European Union countries, and UK soldiers training in Nanyuki and other parts of this country. And we have observed some cases of indiscipline within the disciplined forces. Honourable Speaker, as this is ratified, we need as a country to caution that interactions with the community need to be curtailed so that people are given their respect and their dignity prevails. Honourable Speaker, when you look at Seychelles, Seychelles and Kenya shares a coastline, they share a border. We therefore have an opportunity for an enlarged seashore where they can train. There is an enlarged body of water. Honourable Speaker, especially for our Navy, the two navies, the Kenya Navy and the Navy from Seychelles, they will have a great opportunity to practice together. They will have a great opportunity to have joint trials and joint vessel testing in the waters, because we have an enlarged and longer, coastline. Honourable Speaker, training together again brings in issues of faster skill development and challenges. We will have our soldiers challenged, and those of the Seychelles also, challenging our soldiers and us challenging them. And in this particular respect, they will be able to we will get better material and better, soldiers at the end of the day. Honourable Speaker, when it comes to the two countries, the soldiers come from different, or rather the military personnel have come from different environments. They'll be able to share experiences from where they come. They'll build their capacities in view of those experiences, and you'll have a more rounded, people at the end of the day. Honourable Speaker, I support this particular collaboration. Thank you.
Yes, next to speak on this. Yes, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I raise understanding order 95. Will I be in order to ask the mover to be called to reply, Mr. Speaker? Because this matter has been debated since yesterday, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, since yesterday. Yeah. So that we can move to the next business, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, a member has risen for misplace on standing order number 95, that the mover be called upon to reply. Is that the mood in the House that the mover be called to reply? Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as those of a contrary opinion say nay? Mover proceed to reply.
Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the members of this House, and this is the third day that this matter has been discussed, and DCA is a tool which is now globally accepted, and Kenya and Seychelles share a common border in terms of the sea, and this will help especially the Kenyan Defence Forces and more so the Kenyan Navy to train more so with Seychelles. So I beg to reply.
Honorable members, having approved that we have the requisite numbers, I now put the question that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on its consideration of the Defense Cooperation Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the Republic of Seychelles, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 13th June 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 8.4 of the Treaty Making and Ratification Act 2012, approves the Defense Cooperation Agreement between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the Republic of Seychelles. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? No. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 11, motion. Consideration of the Consolidated Fund Service Expenditures under the financial year 2023-2024 budget estimates.
Mover.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Public Debt and Privatization Committee on its consideration of the Consolidated Fund Services Expenditures under the financial year 2023-2024 budget estimates, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 21st June 2023, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, before I get to the main text of the report, allow me, Honorable Speaker, to begin by thanking members of the Public Debt and Privatization Committee for working tirelessly to ensure that this comprehensive report is tabled in this House. Honorable Speaker, I also want to extend our gratitude as a committee to the National Treasury, the Office of the Controller of Budget, the Office of the Auditor General, and the Central Bank of Kenya for providing critical information in the process of reviewing the SFS expenditures, Honorable Speaker. The Controller of Budget and the Office of the Auditor General, Honorable Speaker, have over time proven to be very critical in promoting accountability and transparency in relation to the CFS expenditures, and have highlighted gaps which the committee is oversighting, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is important to remind members of this House that the Consolidated Fund Services, normally abbreviated as CFS, are excluded from the Appropriations Act pursuant to the Article 221 of the Constitution, Section 7 of our Constitution. This is because, Honorable Speaker, they are a direct charge to the Consolidated Fund and thus do not require appropriation. This seems to be an unfamiliar aspect of expenditure in that expenditures can be undertaken without appropriation by the House, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, what we are saying in brief is that the SFS expenditures, unlike the other expenditures which we appropriate as a House, are never appropriated by this House. And so they just get they are direct charge to the Consolidated Fund. Honorable Speaker, for the benefit of members, the SFS expenditures comprise of the following expenditures. The first one is expenditures required to service our public stock of debt, being interest payments and redemption, that is maturity of public debt expenditures. The second item under these expenditure items, Honorable Speaker, is the pension expenditures. The third item is salaries for constitutional and independent offices, Honorable Speaker. The fourth one is expenditures related to guaranteed debt. Honorable Speaker, for the financial year 2023-2024, the SFS expenditures are the largest in terms of percentage, Honorable Speaker, at a value of 1.84 billion, Honorable Speaker, larger than the recurrent expenditures of the current government, which amount to 1.56 trillion, Honorable Speaker, and development expenditure, which is worthy Kenya shillings 807.64 billion, as approved by this House. Honorable Speaker, if you look at this figure of 1.84 trillion as the SFS expenditures, Honorable Speaker, it's about 70% of the projected revenue to be collected for the year 2023-24. And Honorable Speaker, if you compare this with also this figure, as we are talking about, Honorable Speaker, if you also compare it with the exports coming from the returns from our exports, Honorable Speaker, you find the figure is also quite high. So in short, we are saying, Honorable Speaker, these expenditures are very critical when you look at the amount. Unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, we have realized that this House, when you look at our standing orders, they are not very clear in terms of how do we address these expenditures, Honorable Speaker. And you can see, Honorable Speaker, even today, when we are discussing this important report, we've already passed the budget as a House. Meaning, we are not giving these expenditures the kind of the attention they deserve. And at the same time, Honorable Speaker, you realize these expenditures, they are taking such a huge chunk of our revenue, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in the financial year 2023-24, SFS expenditures are projected to amount to the figure I've mentioned, that is 1.4 trillion. And if you compare that with the last financial year, 2022-23, which has just ended, the figure was 1.553 trillion. This is an increase of Kenya shillings to 83.4 billion in this year. And because they are direct charge to the Consolidated Fund, they will constrain our fiscal space, Honorable Speaker, by reducing the amount of resources available to finance other critical expenditures in the country. Over the medium term, Honorable Speaker, the SFS expenditures are projected to hit a figure of Kenya shillings 2.2 trillion. That will be by June 2027, Honorable Speaker. The increase, Honorable Speaker, is largely driven by expenditures required to service the growing public debt stock, which amounted to Kenya shillings 9.6 trillion as at April 2023, Honorable Speaker. Debt servicing expenditures, Honorable Speaker, on average, account for about 88% of the total SFS expenditures. What we are saying, Honorable Speaker, is if you take the totality of how much we are spending on these SFS expenditures, 88% of that goes to debt servicing, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in this regard, in the year 2023-2024, public debt service expenditure is estimated to amount to 1.625 trillion. This is an increase of about 265 billion, Honorable Speaker, largely on account of an increase in the external debt service expenditures from Kenya shillings 362.2 billion in the financial year 2022-2023, Honorable Speaker, to 622.47 billion. And this will be occasioned by a one-off payment for the maturing debt, sovereign bond, that has been allocated a total of 241.75 billion, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, while external debt will cause periodical increases over the medium term, the risks emanating from this domestic debt remains the main concern over the medium term. This is because while external debt is characterized by concessional financing with low interest rates and long grace periods, domestic debt is characterized by rising interest rates, shorter maturing period, Honorable Speaker, and then the debt keeps on increasing year after year. In the year 2022, 2023, 2024, Honorable Speaker, expenditures related to domestic debt servicing are projected to amount to 1.00 trillion. This is an increase on account of reopened or reissued domestic bonds and short-term treasury bills, Honorable Speaker. Interest payment expenditures will account for the largest share of the Kenya shillings 628.8 billion on domestic debt redemption. That will amount to 374.5 billion, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, external debt service is estimated as 622.5 billion, a 72% increase from the financial year 2022-2023, and this is as a result of an increase in external debt redemption expenditures for the year 2023-2024 that will amount to 475.6 billion, an increase due to the expected maturity of sovereign bonds of US dollars 2 billion, Honorable Speaker. We all know about the Euro bond. That will amount to 241.75 billion, Honorable Speaker. External debt interest expenditures, Honorable Speaker, will also amount to 1.69 billion, and increase primarily driven by expenditures required to finance commercial debts and multilateral debt owed to the institutions such as China Development Bank, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the second item is pensions. And pensions expenditure will amount to 189.09 billion in the financial year 2023-2024, Honorable Speaker, an increase of about 16.45 billion. And this is mainly attributed to, Honorable Speaker, an increase in ordinary pension payments to Kenya shillings 91.23 billion in the financial year 2023-2024 from Kenya shillings 82.93 billion in the financial year 2022-2023, occasioned by an increase in the number of retiring public servants, Honorable Speaker. That is about 12,290 public servants are going to be retiring. That is civil servants and military personnel in totality, Honorable Speaker. Furthermore, in the financial year 2023-2024, pensions are expected to increase the next by annual pension increase at the rate of 3% as from 1st July 2023, this month, Honorable Speaker. So that will also lead to increase in pensions. Honorable Speaker, salaries and allowances for constitutional and independent offices, that is the third item, as well as other miscellaneous expenditures, are expected to increase by 2% from Kenya shillings 4.62 billion to 4.73 billion. Honorable Speaker, finally, are the expenditures related to debt guarantee by government that are called up. Honorable Speaker, the House will remember that most of these loans, which are taken by parastatals and the county governments, are guaranteed by the national government. So when they don't pay up, Honorable Speaker, the debt can be called up. So as we are talking now, Honorable Speaker, the Kenya Airways guarantee became a liability to the government in the financial year 2022-2023, and payments have been charged to the Consolidated Fund ever since. In this financial year, Honorable Speaker, 2023-2024, this country is going to pay a total of 17.2 billion towards that loan which was guaranteed for KQ. So the year which has just ended, we paid about 16 billion, another 17 billion will be paid, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, the committee has noted that the House has made resolutions on CFS expenditures based on its recommendations and as a background the follow-up of the implementation. For the year 2023-2024, the committee has come up with the following set of recommendations based on the consultative engagement held. Recommendation number 1, Honorable Speaker. In line with the financial consolidation plan, any in-year adjustments to the in the financial year 2023-24 budget estimates undertaken by National Treasury should be within the approved 2023-24 fiscal deficit, should be within the approved 2023-2024 fiscal deficit limit of 4.4% of GDP in order to mitigate against unplanned borrowing, Honorable Speaker. That is a total of 4.4, that's what the House approved. Number 2, in line with the House resolutions on the medium-term debt management strategy 2023, in the financial year 2023-2024, the National Treasury should adhere to the approved 50 by 50 mix of domestic to external borrowing, and any deviation in funding strategy should be approved by the National Assembly. Number 3, Honorable Speaker, 15 days after the end of each quarter in each financial year, the National Treasury should submit to the National Assembly a quarterly report on the status of all SFS, CFS expenditures, indicating actual expenditures compared to the budgeted expenditure. That for any in-year CFS expenditure adjustments, Honorable Speaker, budget cycles going forward, the National Treasury should report the overdraft facility as well as all expenditures related to guaranteed debt as a separate and substantive components of public debt servicing expenditures and not under the salaries and allowances component of the CFS. Recommendation number 5, Honorable Speaker, the National Treasury should ensure timely payment of pensions to the pensioners and prioritize the prompt disbursement of employment contributions under the Public Servants Superannuation Scheme, Honorable Speaker. What we are saying, Honorable Speaker, as a committee, we have realized there is a serious delay in paying pensions to our retired civil servants. And it is time, Honorable Speaker, that our retired civil servants who have served this country faithfully are paid their dues in good time so that they don't die before they enjoy their terminal benefits, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, recommendation number 6 is that in the next budget cycle, that is for the financial year 2024-2025, the National Treasury should submit explanatory notes on the CFS expenditures along with the budget estimates for the financial year 2024-2025. Honorable Speaker, explanatory notes are very important when we are analyzing budgets, and they provide more details than you can see in the figures. So it is important that as move to the future, the National Treasury, every item submitted to the National Assembly is accompanied by explanatory notes. Recommendation number 7, Honorable Speaker, that by that 1st December 2023, this year, the Office of the Auditor General should undertake a special